streaming. Oh, excellent connection. That's a good start. Okay. We are live, Sean.
Are we now?
Yeah.
All right. Sure enough.
Hey, hey everyone, welcome in to the Spider Y2 Banana podcast. My name is Connor. With me is Sean. Greg's not feeling too well this week. He's going to take the weekend off. Um, we did our preseason podcast a couple weeks ago. We just had our draft this last weekend. We're going to take you through all the teams. We're going to look at the draft board and check out the power rankings at the end. Sean, how's it going, dude?
It's going great, man. Happy to be back for another year and, looking to clinch my first championship in this league. I mean, after losing in the title game last year, hopefully no Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the, hopefully, the royal treatment from a lot of people. How are you feeling your draft went?
I think it went pretty well. All in all, got a lot of the guys that I wanted. Things played out pretty well. Pretty happy with my keeper that I had, which was DeAndre Swift. But we'll get pretty in depth in that here in a few minutes. So
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're excited about your team. I'm also excited about my team. Got some cool guys on the roster. Got a little eye issue. Sorry about that. We're gonna go through team names. We're gonna look at everybody's name that they've chosen for the season. Some people didn't choose names, which is fine.
yeah,
Our league winner
they might.
last year didn't choose a team name. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll start with me since I'm the first one on the list here. I went with more Mooney, more problems.
Mm.
Uh,
A lot of things had to go right to get that name to work.
figured that'd be a fun play on words. Power Cat Ryan, as you know, Ryan last year had a solid season. Started off great. Is it Pickett season? I don't know who's going to start there in Pittsburgh.
Not right away.
Tropic Like It's Hot is the new member this year, Eric Farticus Prime. He goes by one of his aliases. Last year's champion, Team Goldie Wang, keeping Team Goldie Wang. It looks like. What do you think?
I mean, if it's not broke, why fix it, right? I mean,
Right.
everyone knows who he is at this point.
At this point, Greg went with Aaron It Out, a play on words with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, really?
Which seems silly.
Yeah.
And then, Sean, your team, would you go ahead and talk to me a little bit about your team while I blow my nose?
CD's nuts hurt. Pretty obvious. CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Hurts as a prelude to what my team looks like and the composition of it. So, I targeted CD in almost every league that I'm in as a Cowboys fan. Tough not to want the guy, especially when you're at the end of drafts anyway. Why not grab him there, early second round, maybe late first round, depending on how things go.
Late first round. Ooh, that seems like it could be a reach, but
It definitely could be.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Skull Bandits went with Skull Bandit as their team name. That's my dad, Scott.
Interesting.
Usually known as Shocker Man. I was surprised to see he changed his name
Yeah.
this year. I thought he only changed his team name, but I like that. He's got the Karen Rogers picture, if you can see that. Anyway, it's kind of silly with the hair. James Chancellor this year. I mean, his last name's in the thing. I'm going to give you his first and last name.
Yeah, just dox him. What's his address, Connor? I mean,
408 Negro Aurora Lane. No, that's the Breaking Bad. Anyway, Heroin Waller. I don't know about that one. Seems in poor taste, but
yeah, he's in recovery these days.
And he's a great tight end. Great tight end to have. I've got I skipped him. Hooked on a Thielen, that was his team name last year. That's our good friend Isaiah. Caution Hot Cup is Matt. He might keep that name since Cooper Cup was his keeper.
True.
Cooper Cup was his keeper. That is a tongue twister. Logan, our good friend Logan. I've got the Pits, and then Brent. Ridley me this hasn't changed his name yet. Um, we'll see. He was saying he might keep it. Ridley me this, and I think that'd be hilarious.
I mean, after last year, there's got to be some better Ridley names after
You
the
think?
developments of this past
That's
offseason.
true.
You would think
That's
so,
true, right?
but, yeah.
I'm sure if you gave us 5 minutes, we could think of a few. Um, all right, so yeah, Eric took over for Andrew last year, who wasn't really setting his lineup. We figured we'd get some new blood in here.
Adios, sir.
Eric is a Broncos fan and a Kansas State Wildcat fan. Um, he likes long walks on the beach, and no, I don't know.
A good book by the fire.
A good book. Curling up with a good book is his ideal way of spending a winter evening by the fire. So let's take a look at the draft board. So I'm going to take away our faces for this so I can get the whole draft board in here. But yeah, so here's how it went. The players with the lock next to their name are the ones that were kept from last year. Our keeper rules were you choose a player to keep, and you keep them at the round above the round you drafted him at. So Justin Jefferson last year was taken in the 3rd round. This year, Alex got to keep him for a 2nd. If you did choose somebody who went in the 1st, like Jonathan Taylor, you'd keep him for a 1st. And then anybody who was a waiver wire claim, you could claim him for the last pick. Elijah Mitchell and Hunter Renfrow down here were not drafted last year.
Big advantage.
So yeah, this is the draft board. Not going to go too in depth on it, I don't think.
Well, maybe we just look at our first few picks and kind of go through our highs
you know
and
this
lows.
is me and you, Sean. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Here, let me.
Yeah, I mean,
let me
screw
pull
everyone
this back
else.
up
Yeah,
on
they're
that.
not winning this
Hold
year.
on.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
what
one
are
of
we
us.
doing? Like this
Probably
is
me.
our thing, right? Why do we care about last year's champion or my dad? You know, this is us. So yeah, I mean, let's just look at our team, Sean. Are you kidding me?
What was your thinking? Why the Eckler start? Why the early tight end?
Okay.
Lay it out for me.
Perfect. I would love to. So mocking, for 3 or 4 weeks since we picked our draft order, we put the keepers in here, mocked it like that. I was getting Najee Harris here 100% of the time, 150% of the time, like legitimately. It would go CMC, Eckler, Derrick Henry, or whatever, and then I happen to have some insider information that my dad was going to take Dalvin Cook, so I was like, okay, I'll just pencil in Najee Harris here for my pick and go from there. I am so excited to have Austin Eckler. He's a PPR darling. I mean, dude catches hella passes. I don't know, running back 2 last year. I'm super excited to have him. First time in a couple years that I've been able to get him on my team. Do you want to just go back and forth? Do you want to say why you?
Yeah, we can do that. Well, I'm going to go through kind of my general philosophy I had this year. So, I mean, I kept DeAndre Swift for a 4th rounder, which is okay. Very solid. Would generally go end of 1st round, early 2nd, kind of RB 8, 9, 10 territory. Nothing crazy, but great value. So I figured, okay, let's go ahead and grab an early receiver that I like. Made the controversial decision to grab CD over Diggs. Nothing against Diggs. I just think they'll have similar usage rates this year, and I'm a Cowboys fan and an Oklahoma football fan. So
grab your guy.
I had to get my my whole favorite player in the league, which generally is a bad idea, but thankfully in this case, not necessarily the worst idea. So from there, was looking at the draft board. All right, I knew I was targeting Saquon. Big upside if he's healthy. Gonna get a lot of touches. Gotta think he's healthy this year. Surely, right?
Surely, yeah. This is the year that he's healthy.
And you might say, Sean, you kept DeAndre Swift for a keeper. That's your opportunity to not take 3 running backs in a row.
That's a good point.
But I said, heck with that. was thinking about taking Michael Pittman in my third rounder, but like let's grab another previously injured running back. This is full PPR. Etienne, if it pans out, I might win the league. If not, I wasn't gonna win it anyway. So went ahead, took that shot. Um, grabbed my Jalen Hurts. Love him. Love the rushing upside that he's got.
Yeah.
Grabbed Rashad Bateman, Devontae Smith. Grabbed a bunch of upside receivers after I grabbed CD. I know he's going to get the targets. So I grabbed some other receivers that, who knows? Wish I would have got a tight end a little earlier. If Dalton Schultz had fallen to me, I might have taken him over Jalen there, potentially.
Yeah, Schultz getting at the 504.
I did. Controversially, Dawson Knox was selected before him by Greg 1027.
And Greg's not here to defend himself.
No, he's not, but I'm still going to burn and ridicule this pick, which I think was ridiculous.
And he just got extended, Dawson Knox.
In any way. Yeah, who cares?
They are behind him as their tight end one for the future. They gave him like a 3 or 4 year deal.
I don't hate Dawson Knox, but
you like Dawson Knox, you do.
I do, but not ahead of Dalton Schultz, and I don't think it's particularly close. But anyway, I don't know. I'm very happy with my team. If Saquon and Etienne do what I'm hoping they'll do, I'll be there right at the end of the year. So we'll see what happens. And you got 3 backs, surely 2 of them don't get hurt, right?
Right. I mean, so your ceiling is through the roof just because of your running backs. I mean, Saquon and Etienne are both guys who, without an injury history, could have gone around earlier than they did, right? You'd think Saquon would maybe be in a perfect world.
If Saquon didn't have injury history, he'd be 100%. And it's been 2 years now, Came back a little slow at the end of last year, which I think is going to happen to Cam Akers this year. And, it's pretty normal when running backs have those sort of serious injuries. I mean, they start off a little slow. But it kind of is what it is, and I'm very happy with how this turned out for me. Almost, actually, exactly how I've been mocking it for my first 5 picks.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
Which never happens.
Going, we'll move back to my team here for a second. Also, went shockingly close to how my mocks did, minus switching out Eckler for Najee. I really wanted a high value, an elite tight end this year. I was targeting Pitts. Mark Andrews fell to me. I was happy taking Mark Andrews there. I'm trying to find a good place for our camera. After that, on the comeback, I got Breece Hall. And my thinking with Breece Hall was, why not? He's a rookie running back. Michael Carter's there, but it's like, who else am I taking there? If I'm taking Etienne, I'm worried about James Robinson. If I'm taking Cam Akers, I'm worried about Darrell Henderson. I'm worried about other running backs everywhere in this range.
100%.
I would have taken, I mean, Jacobs would have been a thought, but Jacobs went pretty high. So I went with Breece Hall. I like the upside of the rookie running back. I think he's being drafted. It feels too low. It feels too low for the...
Well, he's just not as clear-cut as people would like him to be for where he's at. I mean, Michael Carter is still going to have some form of timeshare of that backfield. Zach Wilson's injury, which you wouldn't think would affect things, but I just don't think that he separated... I just don't think he separated himself enough in camp for people to fully trust, and, people take him end of second round, which is kind of where he probably belongs right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think there's enough certainty around his usage to do it yet. So
I don't know if I'd be happier with this team if I had Jacobs there instead of Breece Hall.
I wouldn't be.
Etienne, I could make an argument, but I am more worried about James Robinson than I am Michael Carter, and I think that's what made my decision there. Honestly, it's a toss-up. I've kind of leaned both ways through our mocks. Actually, if you remember, Sean, a lot of Travis Etienne here for me, and a lot of Breece Hall for me, interchangeably almost. And
hey, you and I was in the mocks. I was taking whichever one you didn't take. So
a lot of it's an echo chamber around these parts, isn't it?
Well, and really, the alternative would have been, okay, if you don't go Brees, what do you go Pittman? I
Well,
don't think you're as high
so
on Pittman
I
as
did
most
want
people. Or
retroactively speaking, I did want T Higgins here. If T Higgins had
okay,
fell, I would have thought about taking T Higgins here over a running back.
yeah,
And then my DJ Moore pick would have been different probably. But moving down, I did take DJ Moore um, as my wide receiver one. My keeper, by the way, was Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 12th round. I
you can
don't
let it go.
I don't envision him being my wide receiver one. I'd say he's probably my number two right now.
I think he'll turn out to be your flex guy, if anything, personally.
Um, yeah, I mean, depending on how you think about Mooney and Ayuk, um, I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, Darnell Mooney's probably wide receiver too. You're right. But so DJ Moore in the fourth, I went with him because uh,
Got a great quarterback, I mean, just a real dog.
he's got that dog in him at quarterback at least. Um, no, I've always liked DJ Moore, man. I got in
Every
on the
year.
DJ Moore thing early. Um, let's see, I think it was year two where he had like an insane stretch of games. Um, yeah, So I have it pulled up right now. Week 9 to week 15 of the 2019 season. He was a playoff monster for me, and then started him in the championship here against, man, was it Matt or
It was Matt year one, I
yeah.
think.
So Chris Carson got knocked out with a concussion, and so did DJ Moore
Yep.
that year, and ended my season unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um,
Tough.
but I do have an affinity for DJ Moore, so I'm glad he's back on the team. He's always been just a solid like wide receiver too. I think he has the chance to take a leap. Um, that's kind of why I took a lot of shots on these receivers down here. I did take Kyler Murray, but then I hammered Darnell Mooney and Brandon Ayuk.
I was
Um,
not happy about the Ayuk pick for the record. I did want him.
it, yeah, I probably should have taken like a Damian Pierce or a Pollard. Got my RB. I was
No,
lucky that
that
I
one
got
was
Ramondre
a
Stevenson though.
heartbreaker for me. Was Damian Pierce
It
going
was a
where he
Damian
did?
Pierce.
That was tough.
Oh, let me get the camera back. Sorry. Yeah, losing Damian Pierce right when he got picked, I was like, I should have taken him. That was silly.
Yeah, there's
Um,
part of me that wishes we did our drafts like a month before the season, so that those of us that keep up pretty strongly on who's doing what in camp and immediate post draft stuff, like so
are
we
you
kind of have
are
the
you
inside
kidding
info
me?
on
Ronald
what these
Jones would
guys
have been
are
a
gonna do.
ninth round pick, Sean, by
Yeah,
you
well,
or me.
no, I
One
would
of
have
us would have taken
never.
Ronald Jones in the ninth. Yeah,
Well, I
RB
don't know what
one.
you're talking
He's the
about.
RB
I
one.
don't know.
So no, I'm glad we did it when we did because
I understand it. You don't want people to get injured between draft and season. I mean, I understand it.
I did want to. I did think of a segment for us.
Go
If
on.
you'd like to hear, our and I can be the only one to do it if you want. I'm calling it Tony time. Kadarius Tony. So Kadarius Tony is actually going to be my wide receiver one this year.
No, he's
Um,
not. It's not happening.
I mean, 29.6 points in
Man.
week 5 against
Last year had
Dallas
a
says
whole
otherwise.
one touchdown. Actually, zero
Zero
touchdowns. I take
touchdowns,
it
yeah.
back. Yeah, really very productive. Are you also a big Miles Sanders fan or what? I mean,
No, I'm not a Miles Sanders fan. What I am is a Kadarius Tony truther. So we call
they
ourselves
have
the
a good
Tony
year.
Truthers, huh?
He'll have a good year, but he's not going to do what you want him to do. There's just no way.
What do you think I want him to do?
You want him to be an every week starter on your team. You want him to have 900,000 yards, 6, 7 touchdowns. I mean, I can only
I don't
imagine
think
that's
that's
what
out
you're
of the
hoping
realm of
for.
possibility.
It's possible. The Giants are going to be arguably the worst team in the division. Their quarterback's not great. Their receiving
Mm.
core is a mess, which does leave a little bit of a power vacuum there. But for me, it's really hard to trust him, especially with his injury issues, and he's hurt right now.
You
I
know
mean,
who I don't trust with their injury issues? Sterling Shepard. You know who I don't trust? Kenny Galladay. I don't trust
That's
any of
fair.
those receivers on the Giants. Who do they have at
Their
tight
tight
end?
end's a rookie.
Daniel
Their tight
Bellinger?
end right now is
Yeah.
a rookie.
So for me,
That's fair.
taking Kadarius Toney is not a vote of confidence in the Giants offense whatsoever. It is a vote of confidence in Kadarius Toney's ability as a receiver, not only to like separate on routes, but the run after catch and his ability to evade tacklers is something I mean, I haven't seen in a while. Hey, he's a special talent, and
I
I've
talk
been
all this
targeting
back,
him. I've been
but
targeting him down here um, a ton in every draft I can because I think this is the biggest steal. Biggest steal. Go ahead.
I mean, as a potential receiver one, I don't think you're incorrect. You know, had he been there for me at the 9-10, I probably would have taken him. So I really can't talk that much. I mean, I was a Kadarius Toney truther last year. I mean, I liked him coming out of Florida, and I was just very put off by the season he had. And I think I drafted him last year. I could be incorrect about that, but
Um,
you know,
I can.
it is what it is.
Let's see. How do I check history? Anyway,
That's
I
okay.
thought it'd be right here. I ended up
You
picking him up. I picked him up off waivers last year, so you might have drafted him, but I think you might have dropped him.
Yeah, I probably
Um,
dropped him after he was hurt like 3 times. So
um,
anyway.
yeah, I mean, he's been hurt. Who hasn't been hurt, right?
What's next on the docket, Connor? What
So
we
I also took. I mean, just going down. As much talk I talked about Kadarius Toney, I grabbed Wandell Robinson with my last pick.
Yeah.
I what's funny is I love Wandell Robinson too. I just kind of like the Giants' young receivers they have. I also really like Darius Slayton, who I wish had been better. I had him in a lot
You can't
of
like all of
dynasty
them,
stuff.
Connor. They have a
I,
terrible quarterback and a bad coach.
I like all three of the young Giants receivers. The receivers not named Galladay or Shepard. Um, but Slayton's kind of buried. We'll see if Wandell picks it up. Let's see. I did get James Robinson because I think he might end up being RB1 in Jacksonville. Um,
It could happen. I hope not, but you never
I
know.
I don't know how you see what J
Achilles are
Rob.
tough, man.
Right.
Achilles are
Yes.
tough.
Yeah. Coming back from the Achilles injury is going to be interesting, but he's, from what I understand, he's been healthy. This says that he isn't listed on the injury report, which seems like good news. But yeah, Achilles are a hard injury to come back from.
Here's a good mental exercise. I mean, so Doug Peterson's now the head coach there, offensive minded guy. Yeah, when he was, who were their top running backs, if any?
RBBC. That was a running back by committee in Philly for
Exactly.
years.
So
Yeah.
you never know, but in PPR, I'll always take the guy with the going to get the passing down work. I mean, always. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because part of you wants to get the touchdowns, right? So J Rob has the touchdown, has the touchdown upside. He got 8 touchdowns last year, 7 the year before, 7 the year that he was RB7. So maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like Etienne. Yeah, Etienne's the bigger back. It's weird. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know enough about Etienne. I'm not a huge college guy, so I didn't
Clemson
watch
boy.
him. I didn't watch him at Clemson, um, but I find it hard to believe that a team, um, an offense that has been so bad for the last 2 years, and their only bright spot has been James Robinson, uh, being like a top what 8, 9 running back over the past 2 years, and I
Mhm.
just find it hard to believe that they just cut him out entirely. So I
Yeah.
do think he's going to have a little bit of a role, if not an
Yeah.
important one. But I agree. Etienne's the guy to have in that backfield. Like it's not.
Well, all right. Well, what do we got next here on the docket?
Are you moving
What's
me
on the
along, Sean?
I am. I'm keeping it moving. You know, keeping it
All
groovy.
right. Next up is power rankings.
Ho, ho, ho.
So we've gone through a. So last year, Greg and I just kind of 15 minutes before made a list And I think this year, that's a little biased, right?
We're a little biased
Yeah.
in some
So I
cases.
think in the spirit of openness and fairness, we're going to go through a third party to get our power rankings. And I mean, I have the draft board here, so I'll just tell you the rankings. I'm gonna take our pictures off. Number one, and it's probably the fantasy player who has gotten the most crap over the last 3, 4 years, however long we've been doing this league, for his drafting strategy, and that's Matt. Matt comes in with the number one power ranking spot. What do you think about that, Sean?
I think it's highly controversial.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe not extremely, but I mean, he has no defined RB2 whatsoever. I mean, CEH, I don't trust him. Kareem Hunt, if he gets traded to Philly, which is a large possibility, given we didn't know this at time of draft, I don't think. And I'm not sure if you've heard about this either, but they're Phillies in trade talks to acquire Kareem. Could turn out very well for him. But he's got a great core. You know, Kamara, if he's not suspended, Kelsey, he's got like arguably number ones at 3 or 4 positions between QB, receiver, tight end, possibly running back if Kamara does what you would hope he might do. But I don't necessarily like kind of the middle of Matt's whole deal. From kind of Alan Lazard down to Kirk Cousins is a little questionable.
Are you saying you like CEH?
No, okay, from CEH down then. But I do like the Rondale Moore, Jalen Tolbert pickups down there. I think those
No,
are
he
really
got
good
some,
guys.
and Garrett Wilson too. He got some high upside receivers down there.
He turned it back on. I think he actually disappeared for about 3 or 4 picks, and then came back into the draft and kind of finished things up on a high note. So can't hate on it too much. But I don't know if I think that he's number one right now. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe since our number two spot on this ranking list, power rankings list, is our defending champion who got to keep Justin Jefferson for a second and got the number one pick.
That he did.
I mean, this team is a top heavy for sure, but potential RB1, potential wide receiver one, and gosh, dare I say, potential QB1 in Joe Burrow? I mean, could be.
Now, see, again, I disagree with the number 2 ranking. Extremely top heavy. JJ, he's going to go off. CMC could go off, even if they both have good years. I'm down on Josh Jacobs just like most people right now. Joe Burrow is going to be good, so you can't fault that. But I think there was better value for him there at that pick. But I think he was a little nervous that he wasn't going to get a top tier guy. I'm not as high on Gabe Davis. He had one great freaking game in his career, and everyone has just been worshiping the ground that he walks on.
Possibly the greatest game ever.
I get it. High-powered offense, receiver 2 opposite of Stephon Diggs. I understand, but it's like, whatever. Goddard, solid. Miles Sanders could be good, maybe. See, I didn't like Miles Sanders that much before I knew Kareem Hunt might be coming into the picture, and so that
Kareem
could
Hunt's
be
there. Yeah, there's no shot.
The more I read on Sky Moore, the less that I like him. I mean, been a little bit hurt. I don't think he's really anywhere of note on the initial depth chart. I mean, he's like receiver 4 or 5 right now for him, from what I know. Maybe he pans out. Took an early backup quarterback, which is a little odd. Was proponent apparently of top end kickers and defense, which I never understand. But when you got Justin Jefferson, doesn't matter. Nobody has ever repeated yet in the history of this league.
Not in this league.
Not in this league. So, and his late round picks. I don't hate Jacoby Myers. Could be the one there. I don't like Kenny Golladay. Obviously, we already talked about him. J.D. McKissic. By the time Brian Robinson comes back, is maybe obsolete. Might still get the passing work, and Gibson's just, I don't know, sent to return kicks.
I don't know what's going on in Washington, dude. It's such a weird situation. Antonio Gibson looked great like 2 years ago, and last year he looked solid. And then all of a sudden,
I did not like having Gibson on my team last year.
Last year, I can see that. The year before, though, he was like a 3rd round dynasty rookie pick, and he ended up being an 12. He was like RB12 maybe. Who took Gibson? I'm trying to find him.
Last year, I think I did.
I meant this year. Here he is.
Oh,
James
this year?
took him. Yeah, running back 13 year one. Running back 12 in PPR last year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not
interesting.
know that. 22 points came in week 18. But still. That
in terms of rankings, you got CMC, you got JJ. If they both do what you hope they're gonna do, then yeah, that team's gonna be there at the end. But I think Alex reached a little on Derek Carr. I think Sky Moore is probably a mistake. And why take Miles Sanders when Dameon Pierce is there? I mean, I don't totally understand that one, but he did his thing. He won last year, so until someone knocks him off, he is the champ. So
right. Number three is Logan.
Logan.
Logan's got. Now this blows my mind. And
yeah, this is unbelievable. There's no way.
No, this one has to be Kizzy, right? This one's got to be Cap. Najee Harris, and then he went Cortland Sutton in the second. Kyle Pitts, great pick, Logan. Great pick. Terry McLaurin.
I mean, Cortland's is he's got 3 very good potential number 1 receivers, but with that spot at Cortland Sutton, it's like T. Higgins is there, Michael Pittman is there, guys that are I guess T. Higgins isn't, but there's plenty of dudes who are certified ones on their own rosters. I mean, there's other picks there to make. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts, which is very good. An early Tom Brady, ahead of Kyler, ahead of Jalen, ahead of Russ. That, I mean, you never know what you're thinking there. But for me, the issues fall with his running backs. I mean, I don't think he has a good RB2. I mean, Najee Harris is really good. I like Edmonds, but as an RB3, and, Penny might not even have the job by week 5 or 6. Once Kenneth Walker and him are both healthy, who knows what's going to happen there. So I think running back kind of falls apart for him a little bit, but other than that,
I think Cortland Sutton.
I'm not here just to trash everyone's teams, by the way, so I apologize.
What the heck, Sean? So, hey.
I'm a pessimist.
Whoa, Sean, hey. So, hey, come on, man. So, Cortland Sutton, are we all forgetting how bad of a season he had last year? I don't care who the quarterback was. I just looked this up a second ago.
Plenty of people have produced with Teddy Bridgewater.
He was only wide receiver 44 last year. Played 17 games. The year before, he played 1 game, missed the season. Year before that, wide receiver 19. I mean, why are we drafting this guy in the second round? Who his best finish is wide receiver 19. Who was the quarterback for Denver in 2019?
It was probably Teddy Bridgewater, I assume, but I don't know.
Is it Drew Lock?
Maybe for part of the year. I haven't had steady play, but that's not even the point. The point is, why take a guy that no one knows for sure what he's going to do or what, and it's all based off of Russ coming in, which I understand, but you can grab
Give me Judy.
Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman's a perfect example of who to take over him there. For sure, certified receiver 1 on his team, has a better quarterback now, and had a better finish than Sutton last year.
I don't know why. I don't know why Jerry Jeudy is going 2 rounds later.
He hasn't done anything either.
Okay, so if neither of them have done anything, give me the receiver with the higher upside. Jerry Jeudy, coming out of college, was the best route runner anybody's ever seen. Right?
I don't even know if it's about upside. I just think it's about value. Like, if you can get Jerry Jeudy in the 5th round, 4th round, why take Sutton in the 2nd? Right? It's like you don't know who's going to be the guy, and so why not just take the cheap?
In the 2nd, that's too early for Sutton. Sutton's been going mid to late 3rd round.
Yeah. Sutton and Tom Brady picks were what threw me, I think.
Okay, let's move on.
Who's number 4?
Number 4, Power Cat Ryan. Ryan went wide receiver heavy. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill at the top.
This is a good team.
This is a good team. He grabbed. It is a good team, I think. He's got Javonte Williams and Montgomery as his running backs. Javonte was his keeper. Got Herbert in the 3rd, which, if you remember, got sniped the pick before. He was going to take Patty.
He was not happy about it.
Deontay Johnson falling to the 605 is insane. I would have taken him if he was there. Dameon Pierce, got Dameon Pierce down there, who Sean and I both like.
Yeah.
K-State fan, so you had to throw Lockett in there. Uh, got my handcuff, Michael Carter. I like the team. Team solid. Drafted Pickett down there for the namesake. Um,
I think arguably this team's better than the three we've just talked about.
yeah,
Personally,
yeah. So Ryan, I think, had the best strategy, especially with getting a running back keeper in the fifth. Just nailing the wide receiver position is going to give him such a huge advantage over these teams with, you know, like, let me just look. Mike Evans and A-Rob from Isaiah, you know. Jamar Chase down
rough.
here in the fourth is actually pretty crazy.
That's freakish. That's the best
Um,
keeper in the league for the record. Is Jamar Chase in the fourth.
How about
Just
A.J.
saying.
Brown and Mike Williams? You know, give me Devontae and Tyreek Hill there. Like, there's no way Greg can keep up.
Yeah,
I think Ryan's
very good.
team is the best team in the league, personally.
It's solid.
Um,
I like to see a little bit more upside out of the bench. Pickett. I mean, why even take the backup QB if you have Herbert? I mean, other than the namesake, I get it. Sammy Watkins, give me a break. Naheem Hines maybe get some usage. Valdez Scaling, I understand wanting a piece of that backfield, but it's like at the end of these drafts, I want to see people going for dudes that might bust out and be top 15 at their position.
right,
And I don't see any of these guys doing that in any world.
right. Okay. So fifth is my team. My team's been selected fifth.
Terrible
Um,
team. No,
like I said earlier, I like the squad. I'll give you one Kyler Murray tidbit. I had him the first year we were on Sleeper. Would have been 2020. Here it was QB3. It was so much fun having Kyler Murray on the team. Last year, I had Ryan Tannehill as my quarterback. That wasn't as fun. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a top quarterback here. I'm gonna go for, a Lamar.
Well, he shouldn't have made it to you in the first place. He should have been taken in place of Brady. So it really worked out well for you.
Worked out really well for me. Yeah, got very lucky getting Kyler back. I was content with taking a Jalen Hurts or a Joe Burrow if he had came. Wouldn't have taken Tom Brady, that's for sure.
Oh.
But yeah, so I'm fifth. My dad, Skull Bandits, is sixth.
Old Bandits.
And honestly, this might be one of the best teams my dad has ever drafted.
It's better than usual. I mean, it's a good team. We'll see if he can start the right quarterback this year. Last year he had two top 10 quarterbacks and never started the right one
he
ever.
Might be on the same track this year. To stick up for my dad here in a little bit, he's drafted solid teams.
Oh yeah.
He's consistently competing for a playoff spot and competing for a championship.
You know what they say, right? I mean, you can't win a league on draft day, but you can lose it. And Scott doesn't lose the league on draft day. He drafts a solid team. He's got a very solid, pretty deep team. In my opinion. And
yeah, for context, usually my dad and I'll talk about fantasy a couple week leading up to it. I had COVID all last week, so I didn't get a chance to go hang out with my dad. So we really didn't talk much fantasy. Strategy wise, just kind of like, hey, super excited for Sunday, all that. He came out here and had a banger of a draft. Stole T. Higgins from me.
You should have stolen Eckler, to be honest with you. If he wasn't a Vikings guy, I think that he probably wouldn't have tunnel visioned on Dalvin. I think Eckler probably would have been the right pick there.
You want to hear something funny, Sean?
Splitting hairs a little bit.
I'd rather have Dalvin Cook.
Oh, stop it. Only because you're a Vikings fan, though.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Well, there you go.
Why'd you take CD over Diggs, right? I mean, we know what the right pick is, but we know what the...
It's all splitting hairs.
So, I mean, my dad's receivers are solid. He picked up Cooper here, who... I'm not super high on Amari Cooper, but...
His receiver 4.
Solid receiver 4. When you already have Fournette. And then he comes around and gets Ken Walker, who... as an RB3 that late seems pretty nice. Stafford and Dak as his quarterbacks. Gallup down there to park in his IR spot for a couple weeks. Solid team. I think this squad should be a top 3 team.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a very solid team. RB3, Kenneth Walker, if he's healthy, that's going to be really nice. It's hard to say it's a solid RB3 at this point, but he's got the potential, right? And I think the rest of his team is good enough that it doesn't matter and it's okay. He didn't reach on quarterback. He waited, and I think it worked out for him.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks who went ahead of him here, Rodgers and Derek Carr, and he snags Matt Stafford. I think Stafford's better than both of those guys.
I think so too, and I think Dak has a potential to be better than. Well, I mean, Derek Carr I think is gonna have a good year, but it's hard to ignore either of those guys. One of the two is bound to be good this year. You just have to imagine.
All right. Moving on to Sean, your team is ranked seventh.
Middle of the pack tends
Middle
to
of the
be where
pack.
I'm at.
That's
I'll
kind of.
take it.
I enjoy your team. I really think you drafted a pretty good team, dude. Like,
You're just buttering me up here, but I'll take it. I wish I had a top tight end. I wish somebody had kind of slipped to me, but given my draft strategy this year was with where I'm at down there, it probably was never going to happen. I was never going to get Andrews or Pitts. I probably wouldn't have taken Kittle, and so thankfully I got Jalen where I did. I have three solid running backs that we'll see what happens there, but we'll just be seeing who I stream at receiver to, and we'll kind of go on about our day. I mean,
so
I got a few solid guys there.
to be fair, you could have taken Kelsey and Andrews.
I mean, I could have taken anybody, but
you passed on Kelsey, then you passed
I did.
on Andrews. Yeah, Kelsey went 112.
Yeah, I sure did. But
All right. Oh, Sean, here's a little exercise. Are you regretting that?
Oh,
No. You got.
I said, oh.
Are you regretting?
Go on.
Oh no,
What?
I just said sorry. I had already asked. Are you regretting that already?
No, not at all.
That's what I thought.
No, I mean, he's going to be him and Dalton Schultz are the only legitimate targets right now in that offense. You got Jalen Tolbert, rookie. I'm a Cowboys fan, right? So I hope he does well. Who knows? Michael Gallup has never been healthy for a season, so who knows? And the Cowboys are going to throw the ball a lot just because they seem to always. And I think CD's going to be that dude. I think Diggs is also very good, and most people would take Diggs over him. But like you wanting Dalvin, I just kind of wanted CD there. And if Diggs had magically slipped back around to me, I would have taken both of them and a totally different strategy. But that didn't happen, so that's okay.
Were you taking Saquon there over like Kamara?
Probably not.
You take
No,
Kamara,
I mean, only at this point because we were fairly certain he's not going to be suspended.
Right.
But I think it's very close. I'm happy with my Saquon pick as well. The only one I'm slightly questioning is let's see what happens with Etienne. In a different world, I might have taken Michael Pittman over him there. But it didn't pan out like that. That's okay.
All right, let's move on. Eighth in our power rankings, brought to you by a third party. We got James. James's team.
James.
So, unfortunate circumstances for James. Auto drafted his first two picks. Came back at about the Saquon Barkley pick. Asked him if he wanted to redo. He said he was okay. Dude autoed a lot of the draft, unfortunately. Felt bad.
Even with his first two autos, he was happy with Diggs. I spoke to him, and
he was happy with Diggs.
Diggs was very solid. He wasn't upset about Aaron Jones. I just don't think he was pumped about it, which I do think is evident by him taking Akers and Gibson where he did. I think he was trying to make up for it. But it's just. Russ, hopefully he's good. You got to imagine he will be. I'm not as big on Darren Waller as a lot of people. I think, he was hurt last year for part of it, didn't have a great season. And, he's not going to get more targets than ever. I mean, he's going to get less targets than ever.
Targets are going down in Vegas, especially with, and unfortunately he's on James's team as well. Hunter Renfrow eating into a lot of those.
As his last round keeper. Yeah. That's right.
So, I'd be interested
Godwin slipped to him late, which might save his season.
Godwin might save his season. You're right. If Godwin can come back and be that, wide receiver, wide receiver 2 in 2019. Geez. Well,
yeah.
If he can just come back and be a wide receiver 1, right? If he can be a top 12 receiver, I think James has a good shot of competing. But he is holding on to a lot of that. How should I say this? 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers on the roster for James. One of them is Chris Godwin, who might not play.
Well, at the time, this draft looked worse than it does now. I mean, Juju might be receiver one for the Chiefs. I think probably will be. So it's hard to dismiss that. And at the time we did this last week, Chris Godwin wasn't for sure going to be healthy week one, but it's looking more and more like he's going to be, ready to go tomorrow, Sunday night, against Dallas. So, I mean,
Sunday night against Dallas. Who you got in that one?
Don't want to talk about it. Probably not Dallas.
That's all right. All right. So after James, we have Isaiah. Isaiah, the only one to keep a first rounder this year. He kept Jonathan Taylor,
which I understand. I'm not sure if it worked out for him though. What do you think?
He said during the draft he wasn't sure if it was the best idea. He drafted a lot of players that I'm not high on particularly. I asked Sean before the draft maybe, why are we fading Mike Evans?
And I mean, I don't know who we is because I'm not.
You said we aren't, and I was like, I have not been taking him in any drafts. He's just not a guy I was thinking about taking,
I mean, in the zone where you have to take him, there's just other options that seem a little bit more explosive or have a little bit more upside. With Godwin probably healthy, it's tough, but until he doesn't have a 1,000-yard season, he's still that dude. But I don't think that's where his problem comes in. I think his problem comes in where I mean, Kittle's going to be good, but who knows how that offense is going to look? I mean, who's getting the ball there? I don't know. He had a good year last year, and he was hurt for part of it. J.K. Dobbins, you got to hope that he's healthy, but who knows? Cordell Patterson, wouldn't bet on him. Darrell Henderson, maybe. I mean, if some things break the right way, his team's going to be very, very good. But there's a lot of question marks for me between, Dobbins, Michael Thomas, Henderson. I mean, Julio Jones, I don't understand that pick personally.
Have you mentioned Allen Robinson yet?
I have mentioned Allen Robinson briefly. I didn't say he was a question mark.
Could I mention him real quick?
You go for it. Take it and run.
This man right here, Allen Robinson, broke my heart last year. And I don't think I can trust him again.
Wait until next year.
I was telling you, I thought Allen Robinson was going to fall a lot further than he did. Before the draft, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if A-Rob's fallen to like the 7th round. He goes in the 5th, and I think it's too early. If you get the, quote-unquote wide receiver 2 in Los Angeles, then it's a great pick because Robert Woods has excelled in that position.
And that was pre-Stafford days, too, right? I mean, they have a better quarterback now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I met Robert Woods last year before his injury was a solid.
Before the injury.
And then, going back to pre-Stafford days, you had Robert Woods in there, Brandon Cooks as well. They've always supported a ton of pass catchers, fantasy-wise. So, having said all that, pass on Allen Robinson. I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready.
Not in the 5th. If he was in the 7th or 8th, you probably would have taken him, but not there.
Yeah, not in the 5th. But no, I think Isaiah's team is middle of the pack. He waited the longest on quarterback, got Trey Lance, which, I mean, right there, that could be a league winner. If Trey Lance
could be. This year's Jalen Hurts, potentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, okay, Isaiah, there you go. We're on 10. All right, last 3. Brent. Brent came in at 10.
A very good team.
Brent has a solid
team. It's a little top heavy, but
his top 4 picks are great. Mixon, Connor in the 2nd, Mahomes in the 3rd, and then Jamar was his keeper in the 4th. Followed that up with Hollywood Brown and Metcalf. Grab Damian Harris, Treylon Burks, James Cook, Pat Freiermuth as his tight end. Tyler Boyd, Christian Watson, Mecole Hardman down there. Got his handcuff. I think this is a solid team. I think this is better than a few teams that we've talked about already.
I agree. I don't know, man. I think those first three teams, not to name names, I think whatever this third-party system was should be investigated personally. But
I will email Fantasy Football Ranker and see what's going on with their algorithm.
yeah,
But yeah, solid team from Brent. I think 10 is a little low for him. Number 11, and he's not here to defend himself. Co-commissioner of the Spider Y2 Banana League, Greg, 1027. Greg.
oh man, here we go.
Well, so he started off on fire, right, with Derrick Henry. Um, Came back with A.J. Brown and Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, I'm not touching Zeke. I know as a Cowboys fan, you don't want to touch Zeke in fantasy.
I don't hate it. I was very surprised that he took
I was
Zeke
too.
there. To be honest, I
I
was
was
very
too.
shocked. I thought he would be taking a tight end there, and I obviously if Pitts was still there, I think he would have because Greg
Might
is
have been different.
notoriously he's notorious for taking Darren Waller at the 212 because he's always first round. He's always number one pick, but that was surprising, and it could pan out well. If Zeke maintains or even has a little bit better year, then great. But the Cowboys O line is not getting better. It's gotten significantly worse. Zeke's getting older. It's maybe it works out, but who knows?
Could work out, could not work out too.
You never know. I think his team's solid. You got DeAndre Hopkins down there coming back from suspension here in 6 weeks. Could be great, but he's very old, which, who knows how that goes. But he's a great player to stash.
We talked about, I don't know if this was on or off pod, but Dawson Knox, we did, right? Dawson Knox might have been a little high. I like the Elijah Moore pick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't like his late receivers. I don't like Claypool or Jarvis Landry that much as upside guys.
I mean, I don't hate them, but
when you're drafting receivers down there, I want more upside out of these guys. I don't want to like Jarvis Landry. If Jarvis Landry pops off week 1 and you go, "Hey, you want to trade for Jarvis Landry?" Your league mate's gonna be like, "No, it's Jarvis Landry."
Well, some of our league mates might, knowing how they operate. You never know.
If someone down here like if Christian Watson were to pop off, you're like, yeah, give me Christian Watson for like Mike Will straight up,
Mm-hmm.
So the value drafting down there for Greg, it seems like his priorities were a little more on floor than ceiling, which is fine.
I was just flaming the Zeke pick a little bit. I do forget that he's got Elijah Mitchell in the last spot, which
easy to forget. Easy to forget. Because it's all the way down.
Yeah, and who knows who's the RB2 or 3 for him, but it gives him a little bit more depth, which makes it look a lot better. And if you have that other strong running back already, then you can afford to take that Zeke shot, and he did. So.
So I just looked at the comments for the first time since opening the live stream. We do have a comment, Sean. Hashtag Tony's a phony. Sorry, Con. 0 touchdowns and an injury. This comes from user Maya. Oh, man. Maya, that hurts, man. No, he's not a phony, Maya. Thanks for watching.
He might be a phony. He might be a glass cannon, as they say.
He might be a glass cannon. You're right. He needs a lot of things to go right for him to be wide receiver 1 overall.
Well, and to finish up Greg's thing, in my opinion, the Mark Ingram and Jeff Wilson picks are kind of wasted. By that point, we already knew Kamara's playing. Why take Jeff Wilson?
I don't think Jeff Wilson's a wasted pick. Grabbing your handcuff's not wrong.
Fair.
Mark Ingram, maybe. But no, Jeff Wilson's a solid pick up there. I'm grabbing other people's handcuffs down there usually. But, I mean, shoot, if you draft Dalvin, you want Madison. If you draft Elijah Mitchell, I guess you want Jeff Wilson. Like, I carried both of them on rosters last year with pride. Okay, moving on. We have a few minutes. We're going to go through this quickly. Last place, and, man, Eric, I'm so sorry. It's our
first year in the league.
First year in the league, power ranked as the 12th team out of 12 possible teams. And I'll put the camera back on so you can see us. Man, what happened? Because I don't
think it's that bad. I don't think it's 12th.
Not bad. I don't think this team's the 12th best team in the league.
No, there's no way.
So Nick Chubb, okay, maybe a reach, but like, how more comfortable do you feel with Saquon or Aaron Jones or Kamara?
Then Nick
Especially,
Chubb?
yeah, especially if Kareem Hunt gets traded, which it sounded
Well,
like he
okay,
might.
but you know you can't draft predicated on who might be traded. And I'll be honest, I
Why
probably
can't you draft on who's predicated to be traded?
he might be. I mean, you don't know, but I mean Saquon's going to have the usage. The argument for Chubb right now is, they're going to play on Jacoby Brissett for a third of the season. So you got to think his usage is going to be way up early on in the year. So it could work out, but yeah, I don't think Chubb is the problem with the team by any means. I think if anything, I don't think that the rankings acknowledge the potential explosiveness of AJ Dillon down there as his keeper, given he had to pick his keeper based off of somebody else's team who wasn't really active. So it was a little bit of a handicap. But, Hawkinson is solid. Once it gets to that point, tight end wise, I usually go ahead and kind of punt tight end. Jerry Jeudy, we talked about it earlier, probably better value than Cortland Sutton. I love Pittman. Brandon Cooks produces with anybody throwing to him.
I love his receivers. Every single receiver drafted, I've been targeting this year. Even down to Devontae Parker. I think he could be wide receiver one in New England. Now, how relevant is that? I don't know. But I think he could be the best, pass catcher in New England.
Yeah. I think 12 is harsh for this
12
team.
12 is harsh. Getting, you have the quarterback one. You have what you would assume to be a top 12 running back in Nick Chubb. AJ Dillon, who knows, he might break out and really, solidify his hold on that.
Really stick it to James if that happens.
And then, solid receivers. Hawkinson's probably the last of those elite tight ends that I'd pick before I punted tight end, like you said.
Yeah.
Pollard. I mean, we're so low on Zeke. We got to be high on Pollard.
I've seen a lot of stuff.
A great value.
A lot of stuff out of camp of Tony Pollard playing in the slot some this year as well.
Give me all of
that. You've got to get the explosiveness on the field if you're Dallas. And I can't hate the Tony Pollard pick. You can't hate. You can't like Singletary. You can't. It's tough to take a running back that's not even a clear stud running back who his goal line touches are going to be sniped by the quarterback on your own team. That doesn't go super well. But
Singletary scored 7 touchdowns last year, his best touchdown numbers of his career.
And I think it's going back down, personally.
Also at his best season of his best finish of his career, finished RB20.
It's 8th round value, so you can't complain about it too much.
He had a great end of his year, Singletary did. But the rest of it, you would not have made it to the playoffs if you had started every week.
The first half of the year, no one knew if it was him or Zach Moss. And it became pretty clear later on.
Yeah, Zach Moss got a DNP, or he didn't even dress for the game. And you were like, oh, I guess it's Singletary.
Yep.
So, Sean, we've gone through every team.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, we did not go quick.
No, we didn't. Still at an hour.
58 minutes. We're going to get out of here before it turns to an hour. We will do better at making this go slower. Going quicker, but unfortunately it'll only go slower once we get our third man in the booth. But we won't have to go through the whole draft board when we do that. So it's kind of a special long episode. I'll leave you with this, Sean. And I've asked you this before: barbecue or sour cream and onion?
Chips?
Yeah.
Depends on the style of chip. If it's what are they called? A wavy Lay's or some sort of wavy or baked. I'm taking barbecue all day long. But if they're Pringles like these here,
whoa,
I'm going sour cream and onion, baby. If it's thin and crispy like that, I want sour cream and onion. If it's got some weight or some chunk to it, I want barbecue.
That is a fire take. I'm with you on the sour cream and onion Pringles. I think as a sandwich chip next to my sandwich, I love a good barbecue. As a snack and chip, I've got to go with sour cream and onion. Okay.
Can't hate it. Here's a dark horse where you got to try sometime.
Okay.
The private selection ones they have, it's like Kellogg, not Kellogg, it's like Kroger's own chip brand at Dillon's.
Yeah.
They make a like a honey Dijon kind of barbecue
Ooh.
chip.
Okay.
Test it out. You'll
Oh.
thank me.
Okay. I will. I'll thank you right now. Thank you for that suggestion.
Anytime.
Okay, so that'll do it for the pod. Finishing at an hour right now, exactly. So thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna do this every Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. We're still kind of trying to figure out everyone's schedules.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll see you next week. Games are about to freaking start, dude. Are you excited for Sunday?
Freaking pumped, man.
Oh my
Let's
god,
do it.
man! Finally.
Thursday. First game's tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right. But I guess the fantasy, I don't have anybody playing, so I'm not. Anyway, I'll be watching Thursday, no doubt. Anyway, all right, Sean, thank you so much.
Anytime.
All right.
See you later.
See you, folks. Oh, did he just leave?